How's it going, YouTube? Anime Bar Lounge, here with Corey. We're talking about anime. We're doing our mid-season impressions because we did not have a chance to do it early in the season, so we're going to call it mid-season impressions. We watched a different... We watched a
anime.
Anime.
There's so much.
We watched a fair amount of each show. Some we watched more than others, but I actually took notes for once, so there's a better chance I know what I'm talking about. Still not likely, just a better chance. We're gonna split this into two parts. So we're gonna we watched collectively 16 shows, so we're gonna talk about 8 of them here, and then 8 of them in a future video. Most of the more shonen-y shows are gonna be part of this video, and then the other ones will be in the other one. Most of the comedy and or slice of life and or the other 2 isekais will be in that one. So, with that in mind, we are gonna start with Bleach, because Bleach has been a long time coming, and I think most people are very excited to have Bleach back. So let's talk about Bleach.
Bleach. I binged so much of Bleach to catch up for this season. Too much, probably.
Too much Bleach.
Too much Bleach.
And I read all of the manga, again, in anticipation for it. And I was reminded of all the things I love and hate about the show. Because there's a lot of things to love and there's a lot of things to hate.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case with Bleach. It's fantastic action. It's fantastic character designs. It has really great moments, but some of them are undermined. But I really do like the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. And I really like its beginning. So we're in a lot of what I like about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You've only seen the first 3 episodes, and I don't want to be too spoiler heavy because I don't know where everyone is. I will probably spoil some stuff, but I think I'm going to try to leave out some of the major stuff.
That's fine.
Either
way.
But you've seen the first 3 episodes, so why don't you start off with your thoughts?
I'm immediately concerned.
What are your concerns?
So, this is... I haven't had the wait. I finished Fullbring and I went right into this. And Fullbring is quite literally the epitome of, I liked half of this, and then I really didn't like the other half of this. So I'm coming off the back foot with this, where I wasn't having fun with Fullbring, and coming into this and seeing the exact same reasons that I ended up falling off of Fullbring happening immediately, where they don't give the Kurosaki crew a lot to do, they're undermined a lot, and I immediately was not coming into this arc feeling very good. Which is why I took a very long break after just watching the premiere. I'm like, yeah, let's go, Bleach is back, watch the premiere. And then I just didn't watch it for 4 weeks. I think it's animated fantastically, and I think the voice acting killer on both ends. It's not clicking with me yet. But it's so early, it's kind of a non-issue.
That's fair.
If I'm 3 episodes in, it's going to be probably around 50. I'm going to find things to like about it, so...
This is my subjective take, and I don't think this counts as spoilers because it's an opinion. But I would say, out of the Kurosaki gang, and it is tragic, the only one that I really feel dissatisfied with by the time the full arc is over, I'm going off the manga here, is Chad, who is my favorite out of the Kurosaki gang. I love Chad.
It's obvious.
But he's like the Yamcha of Bleach.
Chad is the man who knows he's going to get destroyed.
It's brutal. But I am actually... I would say I would like a little more with some of the Kurosaki gang. But I would say that by the end of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, I'm impressed in comparison to some of the other arcs. A lot of the characters feel like they get something here.
Well, while I was watching Bleach in the lead up to this, you saw me quite literally talk to you all the time about where I was at and what was bothering me. So I really don't like it when they just go into an arc hard and they don't really give us a resting period. But I don't think it was feasible to start 1,000-Year Blood War without doing that.
Oh yeah, no,
you can't have waited this long to bring it back and then not do that. But having, like I just said, come right off of Fullbring, it feels worse for me.
And you're right before the things really pick up. You're right where the invasion happens for the Soul Society, and that is crazy to me. To me, what It's rough because this happens in a lot of arcs, but like I think the reason I like it is that me and you share like one of our favorites arcs being Fate Karakura Town, and
Which is not a popular opinion.
yeah, surprisingly, but I really like the. Taite does best with like you can tell he's a man that likes his fight scenes, so I like his arcs where the fights are prominent, they're fast, and they feel like they're contributing.
They have to feel like they're contributing because that's the deciding factor for Kubo.
For
a
me,
lot of times they don't.
Yeah. For me, the invasion portion of the Thousand Year Blood War arc is actually my favorite in the entire arc.
Did you finish Thousand Year Blood War in the manga? Because I
Yes.
remember you specifically saying you didn't at the
I
time.
did finish it.
Okay, gotcha. So you know
I know
you
everything.
know all the things
I know everything.
aside from what might get added.
what
in.
might get added, yeah, and I think there's been like some tweaks in terms of like either things being removed or added. I haven't been paying close enough attention to really tell for sure. Most of it's been faithful, but like some tweaks here or there, I definitely know. But like the highlights are definitely there, and I just like the fast-paced nature of the invasion. I think it really establishes the threat that the Stern Ritters pose, because in my opinion, like. Oh god, I don't remember how I'm supposed to say his name, so I'm just gonna say Quincy King. But here's my one attempt. It's like Yawa Bach or something. It's
something,
it's
man.
rough. So I'm gonna call him Quincy King, and hopefully by the finale I'll figure out how to actually say his name. But like, if we compare him to Aizen feels like the main threat, and like honestly, as much as I like the Espada, they feel a little forgettable other than like the like higher like
Basically, any Espada that was in the Fate Karakura Town arc, I usually remember as long
Yeah.
as they were higher up. So
I would
anybody like
say-
Haribel,
yeah.
Stark, I will remember them.
I feel like and this might just be because there's more Stern Ritter than there are Espada, but like yeah, some of the Stern Ritter get disposed of very quickly and are used as examples of it's Taite, like some of them are just immediately disposed of. But some of them feel like just as much of a threat as the big man himself because their powers are just that terrifying. And some of them are very interesting.
See, I feel like another issue for me too, going from binging the absolute shit out of Bleach to now, is that it's inherently going to be a slower pace watching it weekly.
Yeah.
I may just need to take breaks like this and then shotgun a couple episodes just to catch up. That's probably going to be how I'm going to approach it going forward, just so.
Yeah. You also really get some of the... I get that, because, like, binging stuff, like, a lot of shonen shows especially, binging feels like what they were designed to be for.
Mm-hmm.
But I really did like, in the invasion, just... I'm gonna probably edit some of this out, because I'm trying to, like, reformat my thoughts. Yeah, in the invasion, you get to see some characters that like you don't get to see a lot of. Like the reason I like Fate Karakura Town is like you get to see Yamamoto just be a badass.
That was half the reason I liked Fate Karakura Town.
And like Yamamoto, you get to see him be a badass again, and like it blows everything. Like what I like in Fate Karakura Town is that Yamamoto is a badass without using his full potential in Fate Karakura Town because he has to fight around Wonder Weiss absorbing his power. In the invasion arc, you see Yamamoto go all out. You get to see Yamamoto at his strongest and pulling out all the stops, and he has powers that are literally horrific. I don't mean like, oh wow, Yamamoto is powerful. I mean nightmare horror fuel. Like without explicitly saying why. And the way they animated, I'm like, this is what I wanted. I wanted to see the horrific...
I think I saw some animation cells.
Oh, it's good.
Just on Twitter, and I was like, that looks pretty fucking cool, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. You get to see Kenpachi be badass. You get to see Byakuya be stoic and self-sacrificing.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of great moments in the invasion, and I think it never really hits that stride again. And that's subjective. That's completely fair for people to say, no. Like, there's parts later on I really like. Kenpachi remains consistently one of the best parts of this arc, so that's what I'm looking forward to. I think you got to be out of your mind to not love yourself some Kenpachi.
Yeah,
He's, like, one of
Kenpachi's
the
the
best
best.
written characters. Soundtrack in Bleach is insane. It always has been, but like, my God, I swear the Thousand Year Blood War just stepped it up.
They took a lot of the stuff they did originally and remixed it, and it's just
The violins, not the violence. That's good too, but the whoever is doing the violins, like, you could have something like I want to cry just from the violin. The violinist is speaking to me. Like, you could have something that's totally disconnected, and I would hear those violins, and those violins are telling me a story. I'm crying just hearing the music on the inside. This is just best soundtrack this season, hands down. It's a lot of nostalgia. It's a lot of the nostalgic, like, Bleach stuff, but like, yeah, they're hammering it out for me. Like, it's the one that's made the biggest impression to me.
nice.
But I don't want to spend too much time talking about Bleach. I'm looking forward to see what we get out of the Thousand Year Blood War arc. I hope it changes some of what the manga did, because the manga has a lot of great stuff, but it falls off a little towards the end.
Mm-hmm. It'll probably be a while before I revisit it anyways, because it's going to be ongoing for a while.
Of course.
Yeah.
But let's go from one super hype shonen to another. Let's talk about Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man. Oh shit. You've read the first volume and you've seen the first 4 episodes?
Correct.
So, yeah.
I've seen like the very starts of it, which you've read the first 11
I'm
volumes.
caught up to where it is.
You
now.
are caught up to where it is.
Yep.
So we're going to have this weird dichotomy where any opinions I have could be very different from your experience, because you're a lot further.
Because
than
a
I am.
lot changes.
Yes, because mine are quite literally first impressions.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I made you expose yourself on Bleach, so we'll reverse that. I'll talk about my thoughts, and then you could say I'm wrong and stuff. So I put off Chainsaw Man for a while because it's really hard to start a show that has a lot of hype surrounding it, because it feels like I'm on momentous...
Chainsaw Man is in a whole different league from anything I've seen before, especially for a manga getting an anime adaptation. I don't think I've seen hype for an anime like this.
That's wild.
From a manga.
So I avoided it not because like I just didn't know what to expect,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be in the right headspace for things like that, because you either go in hating it for the wrong reasons because you let the hype get to you, or you're excited but you be so excited that you don't get the same experience everyone else did, getting it blind. So I had to manage my expectations, but I am really liking it. There was an impression I got that I still think after seeing it, and it's a word that is generally seen as a negative way of describing something, but I'm going to use it here, and I don't want it to be considered negative, but I think it's a very edgy show.
No, you're right. You're on the money.
And I feel like that's just an aesthetic here. I don't think you are inherently bad for being edgy. I think we all have our like edgy phases, whether that's your... Like, most of us had it in our teenage years.
It has an edgy veneer.
Yeah, and I feel like it's okay to be edgy as long as you grow from it. Like, I feel like we left most of our edgy teenagers in our edgy teenage years, but I think you bring some of that edginess with you, and it's okay as long as you mature it and allow it. You know, there's good edgy and there's bad edgy, and I think this is good edgy because it's trying... I feel like it's trying to say something...
It's
like,
definitely
deeper.
trying to say something. There's a lot more to this than what meets the eye. Especially just even Denji's goal to touch some boobs
Titties.
is way more than just that. It's about grasping for something that you don't know if you can achieve. And yeah, I mean, I love every character in this show, and it was kind of weird because it actually was a manga that took me a while to get into. I read it all the way through, and I still wasn't into it. I went back through and I reread it, and it became one of my favorite manga.
Hey, fair. You can take it in a literal sense. I mean, who doesn't want to grab some anime titties? Like, I mean, let's just be real here. Or a metaphorical sense, and I feel like it's relatable either way.
It is, yeah.
But, like, because... I like it because Denji has a... I want to get back to this point in a little bit because I'm going to circle back from the start, but I feel like Denji and Power are both interesting because they have this very primal personality. They're very chaotic. They're very animalistic.
They have extremely good chemistry and they bounce off of each other very well.
And, like, I feel like it's easy to relate to like primalistic characters because I think we all have primalistic urges. It's just being able to
Well,
manifest
you know,
them and
it's
control
even
them.
just in Power's backstory alone.
Yeah.
Like her whole becoming human arc, so to speak, or having more human-like qualities, is that she finds a cat. Initially, she's gonna eat the cat, and then she's like, you know what? I kind of like this cat.
Yeah.
It's just a very relatable experience, just to be like, I like cats too.
And
So,
she does have like a lot of characteristics of a cat, so
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
She's like pact bonding with Meowie.
Yeah, she basically is.
Like, I mean, these names are creative on a whole nother level. Like, we had a Batsy demon, wild.
Fantastic.
How do you even come up with names like this?
I don't know, man.
But yeah, we see Powers ridiculously powerful. Like she's taking on fucking horses and bears and shit. Fucking wild.
Yep.
And then like the cat's what she bonds with because that's what she
Mhm.
sees the most in. Chainsaw Man's interesting from like the start because like Denji's like just put into like shit. Like you want to talk about someone who has a shit life. His father dies, so he acquires all his debt. He literally is like working like weird ass fucking jobs.
He sold one of his balls.
Yeah. He's selling his body parts. Yeah. Like he's literally
Even if
yeah.
he would have died regardless.
Yeah, he's
of
hunting
what had
devils.
happened.
Oh yeah. He finds a little chainsaw doge devil, you know. Like I admire Chainsaw Man because it is simultaneously exactly what you think it is and also something deeper than that.
Mhm.
Like it feels like one of those authors that made it and just has all this
It's-
shit swirling in your head
Fujimoto is someone that I see as someone who writes in a very cinematic way.
Mm.
That even when I was reading the manga, it felt like storyboarding rather than like an actual way a manga's usually told. There's sometimes that he'll use like several panels showing the same face in order to get a comedic reaction or whatever reaction he wants to get. And that shows in, you know, so many ways just through the way it's written, but even in the opening having several references to film in it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that opening is pretty much film references alone. So it's just the way that he writes. It's just cinematic.
Yeah, so where I'm at now, I'm actually really curious, so don't spoil this for me,
No
obviously,
spoils.
but, like, it's weird to see that Pochita is dead, but, like, I just have that inkling that, like, he's still alive
He's
somehow.
glommed on the Denji.
Yeah, so, like, I hope it's more of just a spiritual sense, because I would like to, like, see that relationship a little bit more. And we did see some of the other characters have like pacts with devils and they're able to like interact with them more, so I feel like that might foreshadow some of that.
I believe it's just been Aki at this point so far.
Yeah.
And Aki is an interesting character just in how he bounces off of Power and Denji as well, being the straight man to their antics, but in some ways also feeding back into it. But yeah, he's a good straight man to that trio.
Oh yeah, because you definitely need that because they are such chaotic forces
They're
of
idiots.
nature. Oh yeah, absolutely. They're primal. They're unhinged. They're acting on instinct. You need a third calm stoic.
Yeah.
Let's do it by the
absolutely.
book sort of dude.
Especially with, you know, neither of them have traditional schooling or anything,
Yeah.
so they are just quite literally baseline, just human beings. Well, Power's in the realm of difference, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see with the first few episodes. They're basically both acting out of self-interest and stepping on each other's foot, with Power literally betraying Denji.
Well, like
And
you
then
said, with Power being cat-like, they quite literally fight like cats and dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes sense for what they are.
Oh my god! And like episode 4, seeing the like way Power lives her life, and like it's like
You live like this? Yeah.
doesn't eat her goddamn veggies, is questionably
Does not flush the
does
toilet.
not flush the toilet. It's like what?
Bitch, you live like this?
It's
Holy
wild.
shit. I do want to... So there are parts of Chainsaw Man that actually haven't clicked with me in this adaptation that aren't spoilers because they are things that have happened in Volume 1 anyways. And this is specifically manga to anime translation, that I have found that this is kind of the first time I've seen something as an actual adaptation,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, where unlike stuff like, I don't know, My Hero or a One Piece where things are usually translated directly, there's been stuff added into Chainsaw Man that isn't in the source that feels kind of more like the director putting what he wanted into it, specifically when it comes to Makima.
Well, I do feel like that does happen in both the shows that you described. So I get what you're saying, but I do think it does technically apply to all three.
It definitely applies to all
I feel
three.
like it applies more when you've read the manga and then pick up.
It could just be that I'm seeing it way more, because I quite literally finished Chainsaw Man again on a second read right before the anime
I think
started.
you're just more hyper aware of it, because I'm not hyper aware of it because I read Volume 1 and then waited like a week and only Volume 1. Like, I don't have it down to memory.
It's just very subtle changes. Sometimes I think it's good. There's a scene in the anime where Denji's tie is untucked and Makima just goes in and ties it for him. I think that does a lot for the relationship between the two.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I don't actually believe Denji could tie his own tie anyways.
Oh, yeah.
But in the manga, it's tied. That doesn't happen. So some of this stuff feels kind of like it's fan service towards Makima, but also it sometimes loops back in.
Which you can argue one way or the other whether it's necessary, because, like, it's a character we don't get a lot of early on, so maybe sprinkling that in is a way to build intrigue and stuff. Or maybe it's just to pad out the episode time.
There's sometimes
Probably
that
both.
I definitely like it. The tie bit is one that I really like, but there are other scenes that have been more leery than I would like.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
There's a scene early on with pretty much almost as soon as Power is introduced where the camera just focuses right in on her chest. And one of the things that I absolutely adore about the manga for Chainsaw Man is that Fujimoto really doesn't sexualize his characters. They are what they are. There's a few scenes here and there, but they are presented as they are.
Yeah, I like fan service, but I prefer it to be tasteful fan service. Like, fan service just feels a dime a dozen on anime now. We know that everyone likes the sexy bits, so let's focus on the sexy bits. But when you've seen it 1,000 times, it's
and just how it feeds into quite literally Denji's quest to touch a boob. It's like, I feel like I pride that a lot more that he doesn't go all in on it. It's just kind of a thing for Denji, and if he is to achieve that, what is it going to really
he
feel
quite
for
literally
him?
waits till he has permission from Power. And empowers.
So having it do those leery shots, Denji being quite literally the audience surrogate, any shot that camera goes, you're kind of tying it to Denji's brain. So it makes him feel a bit weirder than it would otherwise, even if it fits the character.
It does fit
as
the
a
character.
hormonal teen.
Yeah.
But still viewers' perspective.
It can change the
tone of the scene,
tone and the message. I would agree.
Yeah.
But anything else on Chainsaw Man?
I'm definitely really liking it. Beyond the small nitpicks, how do you feel about the animation in certain parts, especially the fight scenes?
It seems good. It's really hard to narrow it down because we grew up in an age where good animation was something you really took note of. It's harder these days because I feel like the bar is raised. I don't think this is knocking. It's not. I have animation studios like Ufotable where I'm like, damn, that is wild animation to a degree that I don't think most studios are quite matching up to yet. But it's like the god tier of anime. But I'm really liking it. And the one big scene I saw, I thought had really good. I actually really liked the Batsy fight.
Yeah. I think that they've done really well with that too, and that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to see work in the anime, because I have found the manga's fights to be quite hard to follow at times, but that's been a problem for me with a lot of stuff. So
I think that's just.
I think Mappa's done a pretty damn good job.
Mappa does a decent job. Yeah. They can sometimes have an issue because they take on so many projects that I feel like you can tell that they're
feel awkward.
They're inconsistent.
Yeah.
They have a high ceiling, but they also have a very low floor.
Yeah.
Very excited to see more of Chainsaw Man. Glad to finally start my Chainsaw Man journey. Ooh. Moving onward. Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho. Oh boy.
So this is an interesting one because we both read the manga/web series. I have not started this season, but I'm familiar enough with Mob Psycho that
this is the Divine Tree arc that it's starting off with.
Oh, okay, cool.
I wish I had more to say about this, and I feel like this is a casualty of the season more than anything. when I watched this, I binged the first 4 episodes in one go,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, it's all kind of hazy.
It's all,
Even when I went
yeah.
back to watch season 2, I was still hazy.
mm-hmm.
I'm at this point now where I kind of feel like I need to go back and just straight up watch all of Mob Psycho in its entirety, because season 3, it's just as good as season 1 and season 2 were. Animation's great,
Yeah.
voice acting's great, everything's great. I don't remember fuck all about it.
I'll use this as an opportunity to say, if you haven't seen any of Mob Psycho and you're watching this bit, like, sell me on Mob Psycho. If you've seen One Punch Man, same author and same manga artist if you're going through the
original
web version.
Yeah, the web version, yeah.
What I really like about Mob Psycho is it stays more true to his art. It looks very rough, but that's the point.
It's very, very chicken scratchy.
Yeah. And I think Mob Psycho has a better message and really gets across.
It has a
more
similar setup with an overpowered protagonist, but it puts more limiters on Mob than Saitama ever gets in One Punch Man.
I feel like One Punch Man is more comedy focused and develops itself to be more seriously, where Mob Psycho, I think, comes swinging out of the gate where it's setting up for some really good messages.
So when I read Mob Psycho, I actually have no idea how long it took you to finish Mob Psycho, but for me, I think I quite literally read Mob Psycho in about 2 days.
I read it quickly. I did not read it that quickly.
I binge read that, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
But that is probably both a reason for and why the season isn't clicking as much for me, because I'm enjoying it, but I feel like I look at this whole part of Mob Psycho as a whole.
Oh yeah.
So the Divine Tree and the arc that comes after this are all kind of one package for me. So seeing it episode to episode, I'm like, it's good.
I do plan on binging it when it comes out, because I do. We said this earlier, but shonen for me is just so bingeable, and that's how I prefer it.
Yeah.
It's very difficult with seasonals because we have so many seasonals that it was not. I usually binge most of this shit at the very last minute, but that's not a good strategy for this season.
Luckily, we have a lot of stuff that's going to be multi-core.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna have more to say on Mob Psycho when we come back for it later. But for now, we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna talk too much about it because we don't have too much to say on it. I'm just gonna say that if you haven't seen any Mob Psycho, go check it out. It's definitely worth checking it out. I think I would say, if I were to say the ideal experience, I would say watch season 1 and then just hop into the manga.
Yeah, I could see that.
Series.
From what I have heard, they messed with some stuff in season 2.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice it because it had been so long.
Me too.
That's
my
issue. It's been so damn long.
subjective experience.
Yeah.
Season 1, phenomenal. And it's all of it's phenomenal. All of it's great. That's just subjectively what I think the ideal Mob Psycho
It's some of like the
is.
best Sakuga that anime has to offer at the
so
moment.
good. And I love Reagan. Reagan is one of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is with anime and just getting con man that are somehow not like
Reagan
you
is
think of a con man, you're like, this is the scum of the earth, but it's like they turn out.
Reagan's out here winning best girl tournaments because he's the best character.
Fucking Reagan and Kaiki from the Monogatari series. Like they start off as like, oh, they're a con man, so fuck them. But then it's like, oh, this is so, like Kaiki's winning best girl.
It's just a con man with a heart of gold.
Reagan's
It's
winning
the best
best
trope.
girl. They have my heart. Oh yeah, Mob Psycho, good shit. Next we're gonna talk about Spy Family.
Oh yeah.
This is. I always want to say season 2, but this is season 1, part 2, correct?
It is season 1, part 2.
So
but for all intents and purposes, I keep calling it season 2.
It's season 2, but depending on who you ask, it's silly. Anyway, yeah. If you've already seen Spy Family season 1, this is really just more Spy Family. It's a really good show. It's very wholehearted. And it's not really doing anything differently than what season 1 did. It's just building on what's already there. If you read the manga, you know what to expect here. It introduces the dog that can predict the future, so it adds to the already established aesthetic of superhero family, so that they don't entirely know. The only one that knows everyone's powers is Anya because she can read people's minds. And then everyone else is a little ignorant in terms of what is actually happening here.
Yep.
Yor is an assassin that's inept in other ways, and she's develops a little more in this season, which I really appreciate. This is where I feel like she starts coming into her own. I don't this is where the manga's starting to catch up to where the show. I mean, the show is starting to catch up to where I've read. So I hope Yor continues to develop because Lloyd and Anya are really great characters, and I really do like Yor, but she does have moments where I don't think she's reaching.
How many
her full
episodes
potential.
of this did you say you'd seen?
I've seen 4.
I think I've seen 5. I
Okay.
honestly didn't really remember that much from Yor even in those 5 episodes.
Oh, she gets an episode dedicated to her. Well, mostly in episode 4, where she learns to like cook.
Oh,
better.
the cooking stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually really did like that.
I'm mixed. Spy Family's in a really awkward position for me this season. And I think it's actually more so because Spy Family is a shonen, but also is by structure a lot of a slice of life.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff I've been watching for slice of life has done a lot more for me than Spy Family has. And in sometimes similar ways to what Spy Family has done. So I just haven't been vibing with it that much, which is awkward to say considering out of almost all the seasonals I've watched a lot of Spy Family comparatively.
I've been vibing with it for sure. I mean, I can't, force you to have a better or worse experience, but since I think part of it's because it's catching up to where I left off in the manga. I did not read that far, but
Neither did I.
I'm excited to see what's beyond the horizon. I really do like the start of this. I think the dog's a cool introduction. I think the first 3 episodes are really cool because it really focuses on the dog's backstory, them raising the dog, and them stopping like some time bomb stuff and seeing Anya's creative ways of interacting with people without telling them she's a mind reader. And then for me, I did really like the Yor stuff because it's not like the payoff to her character, but like it is one of her weaknesses. Like, I mean, she's literally a top tier assassin, so it's like
she doesn't know anything about being a normal human.
Yeah, so it's cool that like she's inept at a lot of like normal stuff, so it's cool to see her get a small victory, and that victory is tied in with her brother and her past, and then remembering one of their mom's homemade meals, and then she learns how to make that meal. And I feel like I like the sibling bonding thing. Her brother can be a little creepy though, let's be honest.
Her brother is one of the biggest reasons that I wasn't a fan.
Oh, and that's fair.
Yeah.
But like I like the backstory because like I'm the oldest in a set of siblings, so I care a lot about sibling bonds. So I wish it wasn't fucking creepy, but
it'd be nice.
As far as the backstory goes, like where you see them when they're young, I really vibed with that. And I would like more of that. Hopefully the brother improves, but he is kind of a one-note character, so I don't really expect it if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But at least Yor can improve, and that's what I mostly want to see.
I just think I'd be more positive on it as a whole, potentially if it wasn't even in this season. If Spy Family had been a 24 episode run, or even if this had come out, next season, maybe I would have had a more positive thing. I just think I'm being pulled in so many directions.
Oh, there's a lot going on this season.
That I just can't with Spy Family. It's also potentially too soon since part 1 that I just wasn't ready to get back into it.
It is a weird divide because I feel like it would have naturally flowed to just continue on because we were right before the dog stuff, and I feel like
it was an odd stop.
Cores have been a double-edged sword as they've become more common because like
I think for some stuff it works, especially stuff that's a more obviously Spy Family has stuff going on in each episode that leads into the next, but it is structurally closer to a slice of life than it is to a shonen. So you could feasibly watch any episode and get it. So having that split
kind of
was just
like,
really weird for it.
Weird comparison. I feel like I can compare a lot of stuff like this, but like as far as slice of life goes, it is kind of like the Cowboy Bebop. Structurally, not tonally, because Cowboy Bebop's a lot more heavier. But it has the same thing where you want to start. You want to go start to finish. You can physically jump in anywhere and get a good feel for it, but you will be missing some by doing that.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I have to say about it. I'm excited to watch more, but I would say just because you are right, there's so much happening this season. I think it is I don't want to say it's one of the weaker shows. I think there's shows on here I feel less passionate
My
about.
Family's just as good as
but-
it was. I
yeah.
think it's more the timing for me than anything else.
It's standing among like literal titans. Like, do I
Yeah.
like it more than Bleach and what I've currently seen of Chainsaw Man so far? No. And I haven't even started.
And even then, it's kind of hard
I
to
haven't
compare
even
them.
started Mob Psycho, and I know I wouldn't rank it higher than Mob Psycho.
Right.
So it's a show that in a different season could stand near the top, but it's contesting with literal titans for me personally. So as much as I'm really enjoying it, for me it's a good palate cleanser. I think it's one of my favorite slice of life so far. I might even say it is my favorite, but I might be forgetting some here, so we'll revisit that down the line.
Yeah.
But that's Spy Family. So now we'll talk about Eminence in Shadow, which is a show I have seen and you have not. And it looks like it's been highly rated from a lot of sources I've seen. And I'm just going to out myself right now. I've seen 3 episodes. I do not see what the hype is about. I like it. I think it has potential. But after 3 episodes, I've gotten whiplash.
Oh no.
Bad whiplash.
Oh no.
I really liked it after the first episode. Then the second episode happened, and I'm like, okay, I can still vibe with this. And by the 3rd episode, I'm like, you are kidding me with this.
I'm literally looking at your notes on this, and I'm like, that's more than you've written for half the stuff I've seen in here.
Yeah, so here's my issue. I feel like you could watch literally any of these episodes by themselves, and they
God.
all function as an episode 1.
Oh god.
Because I feel like it just keeps changing direction. And maybe the 4th, I have not seen episode 4 and onward. Maybe that's where things finally start flowing. But like the show starts off seeming like it's going to have a female lead. But you know that it's not a female lead because the character's name is Kage no, and a show that has the title Shadow in it. So of course Kage no is the main character because that's Kage is Shadow. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I know that this is the main character. The male character is your typical, like, Chunibyo, like, shut-in, super, mega,
Edgy
ultra, edgy boy. And I'm glad you said edgy, because this is my comparison to Chainsaw Man. This show is edgy, and it's not always in a good way. It starts off interesting, because our main character has, like, vigilante things, and he has traits that I related to. That's why episode 1 made a strong first impression to me. Because he's, like, bringing up things like wearing a mask, having imposter syndrome, and he's almost vibing off what is the main female lead. Originally, I don't even know if she comes back because she's not in episode 2 or 3.
Oh no.
I don't know if she's randomly going to get isekai'd or if she's just, like I think her name's Nishino. I don't know, but, like, okay. So, Nishino, like, she brings up her backstory and how she has trauma and imposter syndrome because she got kidnapped and assaulted at a young age, and then she randomly gets assaulted again and kidnapped.
Oh boy.
And Kagino has to save her, and he's, like, Batman style pulling out all this vigilante shit and beating the fuck out of the bad guys, and at first it's really cool because you're like, yeah, give it to him. Yeah, fuck him. All right, this is going to be a deep show about trauma. And then it's an isekai in episode 2. So it almost feels like episode 1. Like it's wild, too, because he seems level-headed, right? All of episode 1, he seems level-headed. Like, okay, he's a little edgy. He's a little, maybe, revenge-driven vigilante, and maybe he's a little upset that he doesn't have superpowers. But then the credits roll, and, like, in a post-credit scene, he goes insane and jumps into fucking traffic because he can't use magic. And I was like, what? So then episode 2 starts, and now all of a sudden he has, like, that isekai rebirth where he just remembers his past life while he's growing up. So even though he's very young, he has, like, a lot more maturity, or lack thereof, but he has a lot more conscience and idea of how the world works, even if it's from a different world's perspective than he would normally at that age. And he's still talking about imposter syndrome and wearing a mask, but now he knows he's in another world, and now he's dreaming of how he's going to, like, be stronger, and now he has this weird slime shadow power. which I'm sure someone that really likes this show could describe way better than I do, but like I'm just getting so much tonal whiplash that like even if you could explain it to me exactly like point for point, like, oh, this is why it's deeper than that. It's like I don't care. He literally in this other world, he's fencing with his older sister, who is better at fencing than he is, but doesn't know that he has all these magical powers. And you remember how in episode 1 that random girl got kidnapped? In episode 2, the fencing older sister gets kidnapped, and while she's not looking, he uses his powers to rescue her and then get out of there before she can find out. So, 2 episodes, you have this power fantasy of girl get kidnapped, edgy boy come in, save girl, and looking at my notes, guess what happens in episode 3?
I'm 14 and
you go to an academy campus. There's like a confession scene, but like he only did it because he got dared, and he's trying to self-sabotage the relationship, but the girl's trying to get out of an arranged marriage, so even though he's acting super shitty in a relationship, she's fine with it. And then I think she gets like I lost count. I literally have notes here, but I am checked out at this point. She gets like kidnapped. And
hey man. This sounds fucking awful. I'm sorry.
It's the same plot
This sounds so bad.
It's the same plot 3 different times, just repeated in slightly different ways.
Look, I know I'm not huge on isekai, but this just sounds like pain.
I don't know why, because it's rated surprisingly high. I might be missing the point. I don't know. I'm gonna keep watching it, but I'm not watching it because it's good. This is like a hot mess. Like we are zooming on a truck. I'm sure whatever fans of the show are gonna hate me in the comments, but if you could explain what I'm missing here, I have notes this time. This is a wild ride. I'm not entirely hating it, but I like it because it's bad.
You don't want to get off Mr. Bones' wild ride.
If I hit episode 4 and I see another fucking kidnap arc, I'm going to lose it. I am beside myself.
Oh my god.
This is like it is what it do what it do.
It be doing stuff. Holy shit.
But yeah,
that's the one thing it is doing.
That's
things.
the Eminence of Shadow.
It's definitely doing things.
So that's a show I watched that you didn't. So for the love of God, please give me a break and talk about Gundam.
All right, Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. I'm a longtime Gundam fan. I've been a Gundam fan for probably a decade. I've watched a lot of the original Gundams, and I watched some of the more recent Gundams. This is the first Gundam in probably around 7 or 8 years, whenever the second season of Our Blooded Orphans aired, to actually be a traditional Gundam. We had a couple in the middle that were more like based off of Gunpla and stuff like that. They're fun, but they're not traditional Gundam. So I was super hyped to get into this and watch an actual traditional Gundam. Does not start like a traditional Gundam.
Oh boy.
This was written by someone who wrote some novels for Revolutionary Girl Utena and has a lot more in like the shoujo ai sphere, stuff like that. And it shows. This is the first time a Gundam has had like a female protagonist front and center, at least like a mainline Gundam. Suletta is kind of a dork. She doesn't really know anything about anything. When she was 4, she was in a mecha and she blew up another mech suit because just shit happened. Like, that's what happens in Gundam series. Child soldiers. So Suletta has basically been a soldier for a while now, but she's only been like used for rescue missions, smaller stuff. So now in these first like 5 or 6 episodes...
Wait, you're telling me kidnappings are happening again?
It wasn't on screen, I swear. So she's now going to school because that's what she's wanted to do for a long time. And at this school, there's, mock battles, stuff like that, that solve a lot of issues with corporate sphere stuff, because all the kids there are, daughters, sons of big corporations. So it's a lot of like capitalism bad. And the thing that was really throwing me off with this is that I'm used to Gundam shows within like the first 2 episodes getting that shit established. Child soldiers, everything's dark, war bad. Like, get
war
right
bad.
in there. Yeah, I know, right? Get right in there. Witch from Mercury didn't do that. It still hasn't really done that yet. But those first 6 episodes are more of like her creating a harem for herself through beating people in mock battles. Which,
that's how I get
to
my
be fair,
story.
I mean, the mock battles are fun to watch. Suleta's a dork, so her interactions are very fun to see. But after 5 episodes, I was getting damn tired of it because that was all they were doing. I'm like, can somebody please start a war? Because this is getting really frustrating to just watch the school, Yuri, whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to interpersonal relationships in this show. I knew what they were going for with it. Obviously, those relationships mean less of a romantic thing and more of a, how can I fucking use Suleta for my own gain? Which, cool, but you are taking a long time getting there. The end of the most recent episode I watched, though, it does seem like they're finally going to start putting in that dark stuff. And I'm like, let's go, war bad.
Let's go war bad.
Yeah, because I love when Gundam does that.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to go off of, but I did see Iron-Blooded Orphans, and I liked it quite a bit, actually. I'm very happy it was like my first Gundam series. I really do need to watch more, especially some of the old ones, so I have like the origins as like a idea.
Because I started off watching literally original 79 Gundam.
Yeah.
On my study halls in high school. So like,
it's been a part of your life for a while.
It's been, for a while.
I don't have that experience. I've always thought they were like cool, but like it took me a while to get into like mecha shows. Code Geass was what really skyrocketed that. I remember because I got into a weird argument where like I was so like anti-mecha at one point that I was like, Code Geass isn't a mecha, and then like I remember rewatching it and like kind of having it click. I'm like,
oh no,
yeah, they are in. Okay, yeah, it is a mecha. I don't know what copium I was on where I was like, it's not a mecha. It's like what do you think they're piloting? What is happening here? Are you just ignoring the robots? You can't just ignore the robots.
No, you cannot.
So yeah.
Obviously the Geass, I mean, I've only seen the first season of Geass. The mecha aren't as huge of a front-facing part of the show as they are in Gundam. Gundam, it's like the Gundam series are made to sell Gunpla models, but they've always had that underlining factor of war bad.
Yeah.
And you've seen Iron-Blooded Orphans, you know that it starts off pretty quick telling you that. A lot of people die within those first 2 to 3 episodes.
And similar to Geass, and why like Geass was a good like stepping stone to get more into mecha, is that Gundam is very character driven. I can tell that from just what I've seen. Like I think some people are against mecha because they think that's all it is like, no, that's a big part of it.
And I've seen a lot of people make the argument that them fighting in robots isn't as dangerous. And I'm like, do you think they just get out of the mecha when it blows up? They die. They fucking die if that mecha explodes.
I can understand it's like it's a different type of power fantasy, right? Like some people are going to gravitate more towards human v human in like,
right, as if like piloting the mecha is less of like an actual show of like human versus human, but that has kind of always been the core of mecha, and I understand missing
medium,
it,
but like it's one worth at least getting into, because even if it's not for you, I feel like you should still like give it a chance every now and
like
then.
That's a perfect sentence to go off of for Witch from Mercury. Where you've seen Iron-Blooded Orphans, I would consider the first 5 or 6 episodes of Witch from Mercury to be kind of a step back from that type of war bad stuff. No idea where it's going, so no clue what it's going to become. But I think as a starter Gundam, as long as this actually does go into genuine like traditional Gundam territory, this is probably the best entry point for Gundam in a very long time.
Oh, neat.
Just the characters are very fun to watch interact. The battles are still your traditional Gundam Sakuga type stuff. And as long as it goes the direction that all the other Gundams do, it's gonna be a damn good
I do
starting
plan
point.
on picking it up later, this series. I just didn't have time before our impressions.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I'll have more to talk about it when we do our wrap up.
Yeah.
But
And it's gonna be a split core anyway. So
oh yeah,
these first 12 episodes will be this, and then April.
All right. Well, goddamn.
God damn!
Time for me to talk about the other bad anime. that
Oh
I've
God.
seen. So, there's a ninja anime airing,
Wow.
and
Is it Boruto?
well, yes, technically.
You're not wrong.
So
Oh, no.
it's
Man,
kind
oh,
of
God.
tropey, but it just has all my guilty pleasures just wrapped up in a neat package.
This is
It's-
the chocolate bar for you.
This is a chocolate bar. We're talking about Shinobi no Itoki, a series that starts off with a school kid whose mom has really high expectations, and he's like, he's not really making a lot of social scenarios because he's just trying to get ahead in life. He's trying to focus on school and focus on getting ahead in life, and he's not like doing like clubs. He's just doing like anything that's like part of like a curricular. He gets like a girlfriend, and he's like, "Oh, cool, I have a girlfriend." But then that girlfriend like keeps tabs on him and tracks him, and then they find out that she's a ninja and she's from the rival clan, and then he finds out that he's from a ninja lineage, and that their grandfather was from the rival clan, and that she was dating him to like get like the inside scoop.
I feel like I've heard this story about 1,000 times.
And then turns out there's a ninja school, there's a ninja academy. Now instead of going to actual school, we're going to ninja school. And like I remember being like super sus of like everyone, but like most of the people, at least from what I can tell, that you're introduced to in episode 2 are actually just like part of the same clan, and like even the ones that seem sus are actually legit. But I'm still holding out. There's like one girl that like seemed a little sus like early on. Like I think her name was Kiri.
You're playing this anime
Kyrie.
like it's Among Us, man.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a ninja. Like, what am I gonna do? Yeah, and like the ninja like motto is like no discovery, no killing, no betrayal. But like the what? I think they do kill people. Like if they're ninjas. Come on now. But yeah, like the good ninjas are called
They
the
got those rubber
they're called the Iga
ninjas.
ninjas. The rival ninjas are the Koga ninjas. So like all I think about is the gym leader from Pokemon. But like he's also a ninja. But like I just picture him. Like we're gonna find the leader of Koga.
So what you're telling me is you need to make an abridged of this series, and then it'll be like 1,000 times better.
Oh, I mean it's already great. Like I mean like this like episode 3, you have the fucking bully, like the Koga ninjas are being dickheads, and they're in like a test. Like the test is the principal ninja, because remember this is a ninja academy. Don't forget, the principal is testing them. The test is you have to climb this mountain, and at the top there's this huge pile of like manju buns, but you have to get there quick because the principal is just chomping down on them, and you have to get a manju bun from there and deliver it back, or you fail. So,
Yeah, this sounds like a mid 2010s type of like
it's super goofy.
Yeah.
And like there's stuff
goofy little 12 episode
there's
anime.
stuff that could be like deeper under the surface, but like oh, I forgot the most important part. They're not normal ninjas. These are cyber ninjas. They have suits.
Okay.
So cyberpunk ninja, silly, goofy, crazy ninja. Like
It just sounds like the definition.
it's like
of
they
guilty
couldn't
pleasure.
pick one flavor of ninja,
They threw
so they
dartboards.
just took all the ninjas and put them together. And it's a little cluttered. There's a lot going on. It feels like it's trying to do a lot, but honestly, if you shut your brain off, this is one of the best goddamn shows this season. I will die on this hill. I don't think people are enjoying this one as much as I am, based off what I've seen in discussion. But this is fucking... Camera died out in the middle of the rant there, so I don't know how much it got in, but yeah. Ninja anime. Very good. Very fun. It's silly. It's goofy. It's not the best show of the season, but I really like ninjas. That's why I was hooked into Naruto. I was like ninjas since I was a wee lad. You really can't go
Good
wrong.
guilty pleasure.
Good
you
guilty
need
pleasure.
stuff like that.
Oh yeah, especially
Maybe not.
especially this season where there's so much, like a lot of it's really good, high quality shit
Yeah.
that a lot of them are competing too much on the same level ground. This is like, I don't know if it was trying to be serious, but it's not it's failing in that regard. I'm liking it for completely different reasons,
I think that's fair.
and that's okay.
You can like shit for reasons that they aren't going for.
I'm excited to
Otherwise, stuff like The Room wouldn't exist.
see. True. But moving onward. So this is our last show we'll be talking about for this first half of video. But Blue Lock.
Blue Lock is a really interesting show.
Very cool premise. Big agree. Do you want to start discussing this, or do you want me as soon as I have my notes ready to start us off?
I'll go for it. I don't actually know how much you've like dove into sports anime as a general rule.
I've dove in a okay amount, but I'm not like, it's still not like my expertise.
Right.
How many episodes did you get into here, by the way?
I only watched 3 episodes of Blue Lock.
Okay, I'm 5 episodes in.
Okay, I gotcha. You probably know more than you definitely know more than I do. But I've loved Haikyuu. I watched a lot of Kuroko no Basket and just other random sports anime. This is not a normal sports anime.
I found that
by
out.
any
Absolutely.
stretch.
It starts off as a normal sports anime. I'd say like the first 5 minutes, it's a normal sports anime.
Mhm.
You've seen these tropes before. You've seen these characters before. And then around 5 minutes in, you get a little inkling that something's different. And it's like, that's fine. That's every sports anime. This is the hook. This is just the character progression. And by the end of the first episode, you're like, something's off.
Well, by the end of the first episode, you already know what's going on. And that's what's so cool about it, is that despite it, having this idea of Japan is searching for, what is it, the top shooter, top striker?
Yes, top
For
striker.
Top striker.
They really want to win at Mario Strikers, so
They
they
really
need
do.
to get the #1 soccer
So
man.
they put all these people in teams, but then they say, we're putting you in teams, but we're still trying to find one striker. So you
Yeah.
guys are still technically fighting against each other. You have that progression of a normal sports anime while also knowing that these teams are going to be infighting the whole time.
It's a sports anime combined with like a survival battle
Tournament
royale,
arc, either,
and
yeah.
it's like Danganronpa but soccer.
And they really push you into that corner because they quite literally eliminate a character that you think is going to be there the whole time.
Yeah, I had just
Immediately.
assumed. Was his name Kira?
I don't remember that guy's name specifically because he was
Yeah.
gone so fast. There's also a lot of characters they also haven't had a lot of time to.
I'm just gonna out
get in.
myself. I wrote notes, but I forgot to indicate who the fuck Kira was, so I hope I don't look like an ass. but-
The only ones I know is that Isagi's the main character and Bachira is the guy who just showed up naked. It was
I have him written down as Quirky Do, so
Woo!
not far off.
Hot boys playing soccer against each other. That's what Blue
18
Lock is.
naked boys playing soccer. It's called the Blue Lock program. So that's what we were talking about. You're gonna cut to one. The main character loses at the start of the show, and it shows a little bit of the frustration of losing a game.
Which is why he's like the first one to
And-
step forward when they call
he's
for
like
people to
coming
join.
to terms, because at first he's like, yeah, it happens, but then it slowly eats away at him. So like this program's also a way for him to have a second chance at rising up, because he was going through like the 5 stages of grief, I'd say, when it comes to his school losing. He really actually wanted to win, and he just didn't realize how badly he wanted it until he had lost.
Just any time that there's opportunities for the team to fight against each other, there's just something that snaps in his brain.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he has that drive to be that top striker.
Yeah. And it also does the thing. I mean, this is kind of like how a lot of shows work. Like, I mean, stop me if you've heard this before. Main character wants to be a thing, but he's ranked the lowest among thing.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
he's ranked like, I think it's either the lowest or second.
He was like second
lowest.
Yeah.
And then he's put in this team, and this team has a lot of very intense, good soccer players in it. And then they find out
You got the bald kid who's like wants to be that. He's like the underdog trope. You have Bachira, who's like lazy but extremely good. You have basically Bakugo. Like, you have so many different characters with different clashing ideologies.
And then you find out they're literally not only, like, is the main character one of the worst soccer people, he's put in a group of the worst soccer people. Only these people are leagues higher than him, and so they're called Team Z.
But they also are quite literally showing you that it's not quite that they're, like, the worst, but more so there's something with their personalities that's making it so that they are the worst comparatively to other people.
To compare
if they
to
could
other
just
teams,
shave
yeah.
off some of those personality issues, they could be the top.
Yeah.
But because everything is focusing on what the main, like, dude behind Blue Lock is saying, he's like, we want that.
Hang on, I have
ego-ness.
his name. This is Ego Jinpachi.
Oh, there you go. That's what I just...
Yeah.
Ego is after the ego. He
Yeah.
wants people that are essentially morally kind of bankrupt so that he can reach that top striker status.
Yeah.
Because even with Isagi eliminating that guy, they were friends, or they were hitting it off.
Yeah.
And then he straight up eliminates him. Those eyes glowing blue. Like, he did something morally wrong to get better.
I'm actually curious. I'm probably going to have to check out the manga at some point because the animation does a lot of legwork here in terms of, like...
It's very dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Not only does he lose in the game where he plays the school before the Blue Lock even happens, but then he gets put in the Blue Lock and he loses that game too.
Yep.
So they've really pounded him into the ground and they've made him an underdog to this extreme degree where now, like, they have to take W after W now. They're in a position where they cannot afford...
They can't afford to lose again. They have to keep winning.
Now we're at a point where, like, all the characters need to not only get better, but they need to identify their strengths and overcome some of the weaknesses. And it's really cool seeing Isagi...
The situations that Ego puts them in, especially even in that, like, team versus team battle, is very interesting to watch, too.
Yeah.
Just, you know, singling out one guy, like, either the whole team moves on, or the top scorer moves on. And it's like, that just inherently is cool to watch because it's immediately going to pit them against each other. And it does it in such a cool way, especially right in that first team battle where they just all go in for the ball and they're like kicking each other.
You sort of get to see that ego and drive come out in Isagi too. Like, it's something that was always there. He just didn't really realize it, is that his drive for wanting to win and crush other people is slowly building up.
And it does really make me wonder how it's going to wrap up. I don't think the manga's even done.
Yeah, I'm curious how it'll end, because it could end in, like, one of two ways. Either it'll end with them slowly crushing each other and, like, having one person on top, but, like, it has a lot of potential for emotionally distraught moments.
It has two very divergent stories it's telling, and I'm
sure that some of these characters are going to get emotionally attached to one another, and that they're going to be devastated when something comes and breaks that. Because they both want to be, like, big soccer players, but you can slowly see these bonds forming, and I'm curious if those are just what I'm assuming, or if those are going to end up being important, because they're where I'm at now, you can see them start to get over their initially everyone's fucking water and oil, not bonding whatsoever. But yeah, as a sports anime, like, if sports anime traditionally have not been for you, this is at least worth giving a shot.
Absolutely. This does not play like a sports anime does.
Yeah.
It has the same idea, but the progression is a lot different. So, definitely a good first one if you haven't watched them before.
Oh, yeah. So if you're watching this today, it's uploaded. The other video should be uploaded soon, but if you're seeing this now and the video is already out, go check out part 2 is probably uploaded by now, because I'm hopefully uploading these videos within a few days of each other. Alright, but yeah, thanks for watching us check out anime. Hopefully this helped you decide what you wanted to watch if you haven't already been watching, or helped you get angry at us, because we have very differing opinions. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Take it easy.